Anything before the midterms. Senator John Barrasso joining us right now, the Senate Republican Conference Chair, and of course in the beautiful state of Wyoming. Senator, good to have you back.
Great to be with you, Neil. Thank you.
Between your party, sir, and the Democrats, do you expect any legislative action before the midterms? I mean, when you factor in vacations and departures and now COVID and all the rest, that anything can get done?
Well, there are some bipartisan things that could and should get done, Neil, but right now, the big problem is that the agenda of the Democrats is not the agenda of the American people. The 1, 2, and 3 agenda items for the American people is inflation, inflation, and inflation. But the Democrats, on the other hand, they want to do more government spending, they want to raise taxes, and they want to attack American energy. So on things where they need a 50-50 vote, there is not a Republican who will support them. That is the issue right now with 40% inflation. The new economic numbers are going to come out on Thursday. We know that consumer confidence has dropped again. And what's the president talking about? A climate emergency. That's why 2/3 of Americans think this administration and all of these Democrats are completely out of touch with the needs of the American people.
So, Senator, if that GDP data for the second quarter comes out and it's mildly positive, I think Goldman Sachs and some other brokerage firms are saying it'll barely be positive, but positive, then that doesn't meet the sort of classic definition of a recession, 2 contracting quarters in a row. Would you think, and your colleagues think then, we're not in a recession if we get data like that?
Well, 2/3 of the American people say we're in a recession because they know what is happening in their own personal lives. When people can't afford a full tank of gasoline, can't afford to buy a full week's worth of groceries, and at the end of the month don't have money left over to pay their bills, that to them clearly is a recession. Now, I'm not surprised that this administration is trying to change the definition of a recession. Like they've changed the definition of other things like gender, like border control and border security, like law and order. They've changed the definitions of all of those things. So this is a party that's not unwilling to change definitions. The American people know that they are in pain. The country is heading in the wrong direction, and the president and the Democrats are doing nothing to help solve their problems.
So, Senator, we're watching, President Trump is back in Washington for the first time since leaving the White House. And he's giving every signal, you might know better than I, sir, that he's running for president again. But it comes at a time when a lot of other Republicans are entertaining running, whether he does or not. What do you think of that? Is this potentially going to be a crowded field?
Well, that could be in 2024. My focus is the next election, 2022. My key date is coming up November 8th, where we're trying to take back the House and take back the Senate and doing everything we can to show the American people that we are committed to dealing with the problems that they are facing, which is inflation, the cost of goods, the cost of gas, the cost of groceries, by unleashing American energy, doing what we need to do to help get those prices down. So that's the focus that I have. 2024 is a long way out.
I hear you, Senator, but this is also the year Liz Cheney in the fight of her life right now to keep her Wyoming congressional seat. In a novel strategy here, she's trying to get Democrats to vote in a primary to give her a shot in a race. She trails her opponent by, depending on the poll, 20 to 30 points. What do you think of that, and do you think she could succeed doing that?
Well, I think that's the wrong strategy for Wyoming. Even the chairman of the Democrat Party of Wyoming said there aren't enough Democrats who could even do that. In Wyoming, politics is very, very personal. It's face-to-face, town-to-town. I was all over the state this past weekend for Frontier Days in Cheyenne, the National Day of the American Cowboy. I didn't see Liz Cheney at any of the events that I've been at in the last month or so in Wyoming. People expect to see, visit with, and talk directly to the people that want to represent them.
But bottom line, what's hurting her is her position on the former president, right?
Well, she and I have very different positions about President Trump. She voted for impeachment. I voted against. She voted for and has been all in on this partisan January 6th commission. I was opposed to it.
So she has hinted and telegraphed, as have a number of other folks on that committee, sir, that there might be room for criminal charges against the former president. What do you make of that?
Well, she'll have to speak for herself. I haven't been watching the hearings.
You've not watched any of them?
Very little, occasionally captions of what you may play or some other reporters at night, but no, I haven't been following.
So some of your colleagues who were embarrassed by some of the things that have come up, you don't share that?
Yeah. I was there on January 6th. I know what I saw and experienced. I voted against the commission. I thought it was partisan, and that's clearly what the Democrats want to do. They want to keep that forefront all the way through the election in November. They want that to be the issue rather than the pain the American people are suffering right now with 40-year high inflation.
Fair enough. When you said you were there for January 6th, you remember what went on. It's been called an insurrection. Do you think that was an awful thing that happened that day that warrants an investigation into how it happened that day after all this time?
No, yeah, I think it was a horrible day for the country. The Senate did a bipartisan investigation, came out with a bipartisan report on what could have been done much better and where there were failures on the actions of that day.
Any failures on the part of the president that day?
Well, they're focusing on how to protect the Capitol, how to protect the personnel here, and I agree with the findings of the bipartisan Senate committee.
But I'm sorry, sir, I wasn't clear. Any actions you think on the part of Donald Trump that he bears some responsibility for that day?
I wish that the president had acted sooner to stop activities and call people off. That didn't happen.
Got it. Senator, very good seeing you again. Thank you very much. Senator Barrasso of Wyoming.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.